The alarm doesn't wake you up, it just signals the beginning of the performance. While the rest of the world simply opens their eyes, stretches, and steps into the morning with an effortless, mindless grace, you are already running complex diagnostics. Before your feet even touch the cold floor, your brain has analyzed the tone you need to use with your partner, rehearsed the exact sequence of small talk required for your colleagues, and calibrated the precise amount of eye contact that conveys interest without crossing into intensity. You aren't waking up. You are booting up a simulation. You are putting on the heavy, invisible costume of a perfectly normal, highly capable human being. Look in the mirror. Who is actually staring back? The world sees a sharp, articulate, successful individual. They praise your intellect, your rapid problem solving, your ability to stay composed under pressure, but they don't see the control room. They don't hear the deafening, chaotic noise of 1,000 overlapping thoughts that you have to violently suppress just to say, "Good morning, how was your weekend?" This is the darkest, most isolating form of imposter syndrome. It's not the fear that you are unqualified for your job or your degree. It's the terrifying, quiet dread that you are unqualified to be human. Every social interaction feels like a mathematical equation you have to solve in real time. Empathy doesn't flow naturally. It is calculated through pure, exhausting logic. You observe how others react, you memorize the appropriate facial expressions, and you deploy them perfectly on cue. You are a brilliant alien piloting a human flesh suit, terrified that one day the mask will finally slip. Terrified that if people look too closely, if they see the disorganized, hyperactive, exhausted mess operating behind your eyes, they will realize you've been faking it all along. So, you smile, you nod, you play the part flawlessly. But as the crushing mental fatigue sets in by noon, a quiet, haunting question begins to echo in the back of your mind. What if your towering intellect isn't a gift at all? What if your high IQ and your relentless overthinking are actually just a brutal, exhausting defense mechanism, desperately trying to cover up a fundamental failure in your neurological operating system? Let's dismantle the biggest lie you've ever told yourself, that your struggles are due to laziness or a simple lack of willpower. Because deep down, in the coldest, most honest corners of your self-reflection, you know that isn't true. If you were truly unmotivated, you wouldn't be this exhausted just by existing. You wouldn't feel this profound physical burnout after a simple day of appearing normal. The paradox of the hyper-analytical mind is that it often coexists with profound neurological struggles. And the clinical world has a name for this invisible prison, a name that explains why you can solve a complex differential equation in minutes, but can't bring yourself to send a simple 3-sentence email for days. It's called twice exceptionality, or 2E. It is a delicate, devastating neurodevelopmental cocktail where high intellectual potential clashes violently with one or more disabilities, most commonly ADHD or high-functioning autism. This is the bomb beneath the surface of your life that no one ever taught you how to defuse. You see, your high IQ hasn't been a creative engine for your entire life. It has been an active survival tool. It has been a camouflage mechanism. While the neurotypical world operates on a base level of innate, hardwired social and organizational intuition, your brain has a glitch in that system. Your core operating system is missing critical drivers. It struggles to process sensory data. It cannot naturally read social nuances, and its executive function is in perpetual chaos. But your brain, in its desperate instinctive intelligence, developed a brilliant yet brutal solution: cognitive compensation. Think of your brain using a computer analogy. Your high IQ is massive, powerful, extra RAM. It's an incredibly fast processor capable of complex calculations. However, because your neurological operating system is faulty, your brain makes a devastating trade-off. It stops using that extra RAM to create art or build empires or think about the future. Instead, it uses every ounce of that massive processing power simply to simulate the basic, hardwired instincts you are missing. Others feel social nuances. You compute them. Others naturally filter out sensory noise. You must actively, analytically suppress it through pure willpower. Others flow through their daily tasks on autopilot. You must build complex, fragile mental architectures in real time just to navigate a basic conversation or manage a simple schedule. This is the hidden source of your infinite exhaustion. This is why you are always, perpetually running on empty. While the world sees you executing a flawless performance, they don't realize that your intellectual hardware is constantly melting under the resource-heavy load of simply acting normal. You don't use your intelligence to build. You use it as a shield to survive being perceived. And as the neuroscience validates your pain, it also opens a new, deeper wound. A terrifying realization begins to settle in your chest. You are not broken in the way you thought you were, but you are running a fundamentally incompatible system. and you have spent your entire life pushing your engine past its limits, running perpetually, dangerously, in the red. When the clinical reality finally sets in, the initial wave that washes over you isn't just relief. It is a crushing, suffocating wave of profound grief. This is the dark climax of the late diagnosed adult. You don't just wake up one day and peacefully accept that your brain operates on a different frequency. You are forced to brutally mourn the ghost of the life you were supposed to have. You mourn the child who was called too sensitive, lazy, or too smart for their own good, simply because they were drowning in a neurological storm with absolutely no life vest. For years, you have blamed yourself for your inability to keep up. You looked at your burnout and assumed you were just weak. But now, the devastating truth is staring back at you from the mirror. Your exhaustion has nothing to do with the hours you work or the tasks on your desk. You are suffering from profound neurological masking fatigue. You are exhausted because you have been running a high-stakes 24/7 undercover operation inside your own life. Every smile, every perfectly timed laugh, every forced moment of eye contact, it all required a colossal withdrawal from your cognitive bank account. You have spent a fortune of intellectual energy just to purchase the illusion of mediocrity, just to appear normal. And then comes the realization that fractures your very sense of identity. If your entire persona has been a carefully calculated performance, then who have people actually been loving? They don't know you. They know the avatar you built for them. They love the mask. You have been a ghost haunting your own life, acting out a script written by a neurotypical world, terrified that if you ever broke character, you would be instantly abandoned. The absolute loneliness of being surrounded by people who only know your camouflage is a specific, suffocating type of hell. But the sharpest blade of this grief is the agonizing what if? What if you hadn't been forced to spend 90% of your towering intelligence just figuring out how to survive in a world that is too loud, too bright, and too chaotic? What could that brilliant mind have actually created if it wasn't constantly hijacked by the desperate need to hide its own symptoms? You grieve the unwritten symphonies and the stolen peace of mind that were sacrificed on the altar of blending in. You have played the game flawlessly for decades. But the human brain, no matter how gifted, cannot sustain a state of perpetual overdrive indefinitely. The system is finally crashing. The heavy, suffocating costume of normalcy is tearing at the seams, and you no longer have the cognitive strength to stitch it back together. You know you cannot sustain the mask any longer, but a paralyzing terror keeps your hands frozen. If you finally take it off, if you let the world see the raw, chaotic, unfiltered brilliance of your true frequency, will anyone be left standing beside you? Or will your absolute freedom guarantee your absolute isolation? Can the people who claim to love your avatar actually survive the real you? The exhaustion of pretending is fatal, but the cure might be completely solitary. In our next archive, we will explore the terrifying aftermath of removing the mask. We will dissect the unbearable cost of authenticity, and what happens when a hyper-analytical, neurodivergent mind finally stops faking it and goes to war against a neurotypical world. Are you ready to be truly seen? Subscribe to The Abyss. File 03 is waiting.